Morning, everyone. As per normal, we can start in a couple of minutes. I'm just going to start off at 1:30. I just want to go into position size and calculate and volumes because this is quite critical. Glad to see you're on here. The person I spoke to on the WhatsApp just now. Just want to go through it just to clarify what's going on here, because this getting volumes in it's not going to do yourself any favors. I keep saying, do not try and build Rome in a day. It's not going to happen. And I'm going to go into where we do a percentage risk, etc. I know it's been gone over again. Some guys know it, but it's critical because a lot of guys are not quite getting this, and it's vital. It's that vital. I will go on about it like a stat record. I need to get this sorted out with you guys because it's hurtful to see a trade go wrong, which cracks the account when it should just be one of those things you move on. So it's very important. The person's on here, and the lady knows who I mean, but I won't mention names. But if the person wants to interact and mention it, doesn't matter. It's up to you. But I won't mention names. But yeah, we'll be taking from here. Just need to get this absolutely clarified. I mentioned before, I know it's done by Clinton during the week, but I'm doing for Clinton on Saturday morning on the calculator and getting these trade volumes correct, because it's imperative, critical, absolutely essential. It's the biggest reason, in my opinion, for financial heartache. It's just not getting that budget right. Simple as that. That's why I use the word budget, you know. You go out shopping, you spend the month's bloody income on fancy stuff without giving the budget. And instead of getting a hug when you get home for the fancy stuff you bought, you get a smack around the chops because now you can't pay the rent or feed yourself for the month. You must get this budgeting right. And I will just spend a couple more minutes on it, 1:30, just after we looked at a couple of trades, which were already in. I'm expecting, I'm talking away now, I'm not 1:30 yet, but I'm expecting a quiet day, but I'm going to wait on and go through it in 1:30. Okay. Some are going to know that, but just be patient with the guys who are learning. Always remember, I started, you started somewhere, and believe me, everything I say, try not to do. I'm putting an old head on young shoulders here. I've done myself, trust me, I've done all of those things myself. So I've learned the hard way. I'm trying to sort of lessen the fall for you guys by that experience. Not saying I do anything I don't do. I've done these things. And always seems to end up in tears. Call me a financial doctor, okay? Trying to prescribe the right diagnosis and pill. Financial pill. Yeah, okay. Right, okay, I know, yeah, okay. But just going to go through it here and put it in stark black and white so you can see it once 1:30 comes up. And then we'll all get it clear. Morning there, lawyer. Morning, Chris. It's 1:30, we can start. Okay, right. Before we do, I just want to go to the trades we've got open. Gold, some guys might have been stopped out. I have to be honest, I was. I modified the stock, maybe, and always in hindsight, maybe too close. Anyway, I made a nice profit on it. The guy's still in it. It's plumping around. I'm expecting a quiet day today, to be honest. There's nothing particularly major, big coming out. There's stuff coming out, always will be, but it's nothing, you know, really enormous coming out, put it that way. So I think it's going to be like this morning, going yesterday afternoon, and it's going to be, I think, fairly drifting. So we'll spend a bit of time on learning stuff, if you like. Remember, I'm going to say this, it's not a training room. It's not me to try and make up for the guys who are on here because they can't afford or they don't want to buy the educational package. I'm not with Stock Market College, but I'm certainly not in opposition to them. So it is, just let these guys in. So it is very important to understand. I can clarify it, but I'm not going to do a long-term training session. That's for the classes. The Zoom IDs are on the Stock Market College login. I can't give them out because any of those guys have bought it. I can give out the one for platform training and the trading room because that's open to everyone. The idea of trading room is to come in once you've got the basics to now get the practical aspects. And I find the theoretical guys have a lot to learn, whatever certificates and stuff that SMC, it's the practical knowledge where it counts. Well done, you got your degree in whatever particular discipline, but now you get a job in the commercial world, you find often the practicalities of commercial world are very different to theory. This is no different. This is very much so. Good morning, Roy. Okay, good stuff, Dirk. I mean, you obviously made sure you stop not too close. And I'm always saying, don't get your stop too close. In retrospect, I probably did that, but I'm happy. I made a couple of bucks. She's still in. I'm still seeing gold upside, but it's so iffy at the moment. And remember, going into next week, not this week, to be fair, it's next week, there will be a CPI and interest rate announcements coming out on the US side of the Atlantic, and that will affect gold. Just make sure that if you're still in there, make sure you get yourself nicely protected. Last thing you want it to come flying off, but you want to be in case it helps gold to go shooting up. I'm a bit iffy. I'm getting to 19.8 at the moment. I think it's going to drift around a bit, depending on dollar strength, etc., or weakness come to that. 10-year yields, 10-year US note yields, weakening or strengthening is going to drift. But those big announcements next week will affect gold. And as I said, CPI, I want you to join me on that, where we're going to do a straddle trade, and we've had quite a marked success on it. And I want you to join me. And it can be a quick way to make a quick, easy buck, to be honest, if you do it right and follow my lead on it. Okay. CPI is a consumer price index in all economies in the world. In other words, inflation. Okay. Now, it's important South African's CPI is here, but it ain't important to the rest of the world. Sorry about that, South Africans, but the US it is. Okay. And so we will do a straddle trade on it, but only for people who've got a couple of K or more in their account. Please, not for guys who've got a few hundred rand, because we have limited seats, about 100. And the guy's got 5, 10, 20, 50, 100,000, can't get in. Mind you, if you're getting at 2 o'clock on time, you'll be in. But come a little bit later, can't get in like it happened last week from a regular client from the TR, couldn't get in because others have taken their place on demos and with basically tiny amounts, can't make use of it. It's not there for a viewer. I can discuss the trade here, how it works. You can do it yourself if you want, but please just join if you've got a couple of bucks to make use of it. Otherwise, you take the seat up of somebody who can't. Okay, just bear that in mind. It's popular because it's a way to make a buck on it. Alternatively, put some money in. Some guys have put some money in because they've missed out by trading and have only made a few when they could have made a lot. How the results come out, what the interpretation, what the movement is, the size, is an unknown. Sometimes you get smaller movement expected, sometimes you get bigger movement expected. That's the math of the gods, the market. But at least be on board for it, because we've had several and they've done overall pretty well. You ask Dirk, ask anybody who's done it, they're happy chappies. The only ones that are happy chappies because they pressed the wrong button or did it wrong. Well, I can't account for that. Just follow the straddle trade and get it. Okay, I'm just going to mute you guys. Just a second, a bit of background noise there. Just remind me if you want to interact verbally, with pleasure. I like it when that happens, as long as it's to do with the trading room, of course. But if you have stuff going on in the background, rather than mute it. Okay, but just remind me, I've muted you all, but I'll unmute the click of a button. Right, well, they are, Dirk. Dirk done very well. So it's not me saying it, it's guys out there trading in reality. So it's important that you get the funds to do that, because it's a quick buck, to be honest. Hey, Dirk, it's a quick buck. Right, so we'll go on to a couple of them trades. The gold's doing okay. Those are still in. Don't join again if you're not. The AUDNZD, just recap that one, the GBP CHF. It's battling to break through the round figure of 1.1. Remember, guys, the round figure like 1.1 or 1.2 or 1.10 or something like that, the round figure can often act as support resistance. And you see, it went right up to the round figure of 1.1, and then a little few bit of profit taking came in. I'm not sure how long it's going to last. This is an hourly chart, remember, it's not a daily chart. And the previous hour, 8 till 9, it came off a bit and then the buyers came in. So it's still trying to move up. So you should be in this trade still. I hope you haven't taken profit. If you have, well, I keep saying, rather run with the winner. It's doing okay. Too many people are taking profit too quickly and holding on to losses too long. That is emotional and unfortunately comes back and bites. You need to modify your stop. I have no problem with that as long as you keep a distance. Ask Dirk. He knows. He's been stopped at a couple of times. I think most of you have. When this gone on and done well, and you're not ride the winner, and then just be circumspect on the downside, but get the volumes right, which I'm going to go into just now. So clearly, we got a trade out there around about the 50 mark. What's 50? Okay, it's now at 95, round about that between the spreads. We're 45 in profit. Let's call it 40 in profit. Right. So again, I suggest we take all risk out of this trade by moving it up to maybe 3 or 4 pips. Make it 5 pips above your entry. I'm assuming you didn't get it at 109.80, then it's too close. Don't just do that blindly. I'm going by the signal. So you went in the signal around 150 or lower, better. What a pleasure. If you got it, if you remember, if I say get it at 1.1, it always means 1.1 or better if you're going long. A cheaper price, great. If you're going short, higher price, even better. Don't put a buy or sell stop in. Go in at market. It's a better price. In fact, I should really put that on. Suggest you go in at 1.1 or better. You know what I mean? So you get a better price, fine. So yeah, if you got at 50, it's trying to break through, great. We'll modify your stop to 5 pips above your entry to cover your costs. So at least you're not going to lose in the trade. You won't make, but at least you won't lose it. You're nicely protected. Rule number 1, don't lose on a winner. You lose on a loser, yeah, happens. Losing on a winner is not good for my health, because I worry about you guys if you do it. It upsets me. It traumatizes me, so don't do it. Okay. Right. Now, moving on. So you do quite well, modify your stop. GBP CHF, it's been a while. Sometimes going to happen. Always when you start, say, how long will I be in this? And my always straightforward. I have no idea. Not the slightest clue. That's not quite true. I might have some idea, but not enough that I know anything was exact. So I'm going to say I don't know. The bottom line is it can be in several days, a couple of weeks, can happen in a few hours. I've seen a couple of hours and it's hit TP. Depends on market conditions. We got a 1.1328. Clearly, that's what in 60 pips profit. You do want to be taking a loss on this one, so you need to modify it. I'm still in the trade. I'm modifying it to just below 1.13, so I'll make a profit, whatever. So that's fair enough. Again, just modify ADNZD. Now I'm come back to the Nasdaq. I wasn't that keen on that trade, I'll be honest. I wasn't keen to short it either, but I'm just not sure there's enough guiding boom to push it 15,000 or down. Let's go back to the daily. I see it's in the buy zone. I can clearly see the momentum is up, but it can be up, but you can get the situation where the value is a little bit high. Your house is in a nice buy zone. It's going up beautifully in value. It's going to get a stage. You think even you, and you love your house, starting maybe it's just a little bit on the high side, getting a bit nervous. That's the same here. But am I confident enough to short it? Neither. To me, I would not be going to doubt with them. NAS at the moment, I'm going to wait basically, probably, not certainly, but likely till next week to get CPI out of the way and the interest rate decision out of the way. Let's just go back again. Interest rate decision, when I talk about it, I'm not talking about the US unless I say otherwise. So I say interest rate decision, I mean US. But if otherwise, I'll say Euro, Germany, China, Canadian, whatever. Talk about Canada's coming out later on today with the US, with the Canadian interest rate decision, by the way, expecting no movement. Right, coming in next week, the interest rate decision, 75% of the institution out there looking at no more, so to stay the same. But we don't know that. That's what they think it's going to be. 75% is a lot, it's fair enough, but 25% is not sure. So we'll have to see. I'm getting off the fence and give you my opinion, but that's all it is. My opinion is going to be not increased. I don't think, almost certainly won't be decreased. I think it'll be left the same, but we shall see, and we'll wait for that to occur. It is not a straddle trade interest rate decision. It'll be released, it'll be a Q&A, so it'll be jumping all over the place as Powell speaks. We don't do a straddle trade on that. We preferably stay out the market. Well, if you're in, obviously you're in, you modify stock, but you don't take new positions because we'll be jumping around on the Q&A afterwards on comments he comes out with. But we will be doing the CPI straddle. Just bear that in mind. Those who got the Tom, please join. It's a quick back, as long as you understand what I'm on about. Okay. Excuse me. Now, coming to the NAS, I would be going out of the way at the moment, but that's up to you. Now, I'm just going to speak about a person that asked me and worried me. I'm very worried about the size of the position. Now, this is not a micro, this is on the normal. Remember, the normal one, left click, right click, specifications. I know all you know it, but I need to get this done again and again and again to get it right. Contract size is 10. So the one standard lot, we all know what a standard lot is, 10 times that in US dollars. $145,000 is your exposure of 1.0. Okay. On the micro, different ball game because the contract size is only 1. So 1.0 on this only record is only $14,500 exposure. Remember, that's your exposure. You don't go with that amount. You put the deposit down. Like your £1,000,000 house might be your exposure, but your deposit is what your deposit is. Okay. Right, now I'm going to do this one and give an idea what I mean by this. I'm going to put the position size calculator up with exactly, it was a long, I'm going to make it a pending because give the correct one here to NN to give an idea what was worrying me. I'm going to put it in black and white here. 14557. The stop loss was 14180. And the TP 15198, put it 15.2. Right. That is 72. That's the micro. Bloody idiot. Sorry. Pending. 14557. Just bear with me, guys. You know already. Just keep an eye on your trades or whatever. Bear with me. This is important. I need to get this volume understanding right. It is absolutely critical. 198. Right. That is 724 Rand per micro on the normal one. And the person, you know, it is there in the trading room, it's got literally 2 positions of 5 micros in each. Adds up to 1 mini. So the risk that person has, if it hits the stop loss, is going to be 7,200 Rand. That's the sort of risk you take on a 250,000 Rand account. Remember, the guys who got Tom 50, 100 grand upwards work like I do, round about a 2% of risk of your balance. Now, 7,000 Rand, if you had 300,000 your account, 2%, that's 6,000. So in a way, the people with 350,000 Rand would go in 0.1 on that one. I have to be honest, some's gone higher than 2, sometimes 3, and I've done okay, but the norm is 2%, and normally I'm between 1 and 2% of my balance when I take that kind of risk. It's risk evaluation, equity management is absolutely vital. So if that is 0.01, can you imagine it's 0.1? That is a 7,200. Now, if you've got 30, 40, 50K in your account, a 7,000 not percentage-wise is huge. It's about 15%. And psychologically, the damage is done. So just make sure you use the calculator, write down what you prepare to risk, and take the volumes according to that risk. Now, if you've got 50 grand, I'm saying you should be risking more than about maybe 1,200, 40 grand, maybe 1,000, something like that. You start with bigger amounts, funny enough, reducing your risk. The problem is on tiny amounts, you have no choice, as you'll never can trade. So you've got to have things like 10%. And even a guy with 500 Rand, in my opinion, I'm not keen on those guys doing that. Companies want to have them on board. That's the choice. The problem is 10% of 5 is 50 Rand. How many trades do you have a 50 Rand risk? 70% of trades put out, you can't go for, simply because it's over 50 bucks, unless you risk 20%. And that's what they're doing. And then they're getting highly leveraged accounts. There's a company putting out their 2,001 leverage, can't go overseas, illegal over here. And they think now they can be much bigger because it's so much more leverage. And then their margin called, it's not a good idea. They're trying to, people trying to trade without having a clue what they're doing. And it's, you don't get a car idea what you're doing. This has got to understand this. It's very, very important. So bottom line is, You've got, let's say, 40, 50 in your account, 1,000 rand to 1,200 should be your maximum. So on this one, you can't go for even 0.02. You could only go for 0.01 on a 40 account. Even on 0.02 on the norm, it's not the micro, it's the normal one, you're overexposed. Can you imagine how overexposed you got a mini or 10 micros of 0.1? Please understand that. I will be going over it more in the position size calculator on Saturday, and I hope the other guys do. They're doing it, and I'm doing it myself. It is absolutely vital. Use a calculator, and it's not one size fits all. NASDAQ is far, far more volatile than the other currencies. Don't forget that. So you go in a smaller volumes you would on, let's say, euro, dollar, or whatever. Okay, just very important. You get that. And it does it for you, so you might as well use it. All on the same page, very important. Okay, gold and Brent, like I mentioned, Gerard, I won't be chasing it now. If you got in at the signal, make sure you take a risk out of the trade by entry, and we'll see if it drifts along. It's going to drift, in my opinion, for most of the day, probably going into next week, actually. I think it's going to drift. But you've got the long out, 1980 is the TP. Make sure you take all risk out of the trade and then take it from there. Okay, don't enter it now, let it run. Leave it alone if you're not remembered. The Brent, slightly different. Some guys took profit on it and they went in again at 75. I mentioned yesterday, I haven't got a problem with that. I changed the stop loss slightly tighter than the original trade. If you're still on board, obviously stay with it. But if you did get stopped out, obviously in a profit, because you modified the stop, like I go on like a stuck record in here, you could have ended. I wouldn't chase it now. Don't chase it now. But if you did go in 75 or better for another trade, well, you're slightly in profit, let it run. But otherwise, for the moment, leave it alone. The euro is probably might be an idea. Now, Gard was speaking last week. She's been hawkish, but at the same time, she admitted the German economy, the biggest weighted economy in the euro sector, under recession. France probably similar. Though actually said so, but it's not far off. It's very socialist over there. It's not very good for economically, that is. Italy, well, we know Italy has a new election and bloody takeover, coup d'etat every 5 minutes. And the other Eastern Euro ones are coming up, especially Poland. I think that's really doing very well. There's a long way to go. Remember, it takes time to build something. It takes 5 minutes to break it, the unfortunate way it is. So the euro is a little bit on the weak side. My problem at the moment, apart from the interest rate increase day before yesterday in the AUD, was it yesterday? No, it was yesterday, actually. Yeah, it was yesterday morning. Surprised the markets a bit and gave it a bit of Aussie strength. I think that's sort of a little bit out of it now. Now, what he's doing is he's looking at the technicals on here, and he's saying it's broken below the 100-day moving average. It's in the neutral zone between the 50 and the 200-day moving average. Please have these moving averages on and save your template. If you haven't, put them on and save your template. Put your name in there. If you lose your charts, you've got them. Save it, right? Press save button. So if you do lose your charts, you go to templates and you pick the one you're saving in business. So technically speaking, it's below the 100. It's right down support level there. So it looks like some more downside. My only little bit of doubts, to be honest, a couple of things. First of all, I don't think Aussie is that great. It's okay, but at the moment, it's not the strongest one to be selling the euro on, in my opinion. And number two, and the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days, it's weakened quite a lot. Let's have a look at the actual amounts. It's come off over 500 pips. That's a lot. There's likely to be some profit taken. I get that. It's open below, which is a positive for a sell trade. I hear you, Gerard, very much and agree with you. And I wouldn't be buying it. Selling seems to be the name of the game here. And it's not a bad idea. My main worry is after a 500 pip over the last week or so, there might be some profit taking and it might get a little bit of a bounce before it comes off again. That is probably why I'm going to be a little bit cautious and sit on the sidelines on this. But otherwise, I would agree with you. EJ, okay. Oh, there, EJ, it's a trade. Okay, definitely. On the EJ, it's a trade, yes. Below the 10, 50 pips stop with a normal way. Yeah. On the EJ, yeah. Yeah, you can do it on the EJ. It's below the 10. If you like it on the GJ, you can. You know how to do that now. 50 pip stop, no TP, 90 rand a micro is your risk. And don't have a TP, you just write it down. Trading stop, modify it, doing a nice improv to 30 pip trailer, then maybe a 20 pip trailer, and hang on in there till either stops you out or it breaks back up above the 10-hour moving average. That's how the EJ works. And the EJ was purely momentum, no more, no less, of that principle. But on the daily one, I'm looking again. I see the sell. I agree with you, and I agree. No more, no less. I'm just thinking of such a move there, and it's not the strongest currency. It's a CHF. It might be more going in at market, but because it's the AUD, I think might get a bit of a bounce. Might not, and I might be wrong. But I'm a little bit cautious on the normal one with the EJ. That's fine. Morning, Mark. Okay. Right. I hope we're all clear on that. Any questions? I'm going to unmute again. You can verbally ask. I can explain again so you understand it. Or you can obviously post. I hope you all understand this position side. It could drive me scatty where guys are just getting the volumes wrong and it's coming back and biting. And they're sending stuff through. God, that trade hurt me. I don't know where I'm going to go from here. I want to give up. I'm giving up, blah, blah. If that occurs, you're overexposed. And it's not the market's fault. It's you didn't do the maths right or you didn't use the calculator. You didn't budget properly. Okay, if you've got to go, you've got to go, Mr. Slabbert. That's fair enough. Okay, guys, any questions on that? Are we all on page now with the calculator? If you haven't got it, get it. It's quite simple. Go to the live chat, go to tech support, get it loaded on your computer. If you haven't got a computer, get one. Trying to trade these markets with no knowledge, no money, and not even the right equipment, it's a zero-sum game. You know, every time you lose a rand, somebody else has made a rand. The guy's got the knowledge, the capital, and the right equipment. They're going to be taking that rand off you. I get into a race with Usain Bolt. Who's likely to win? You know, so just remember, it's an international $1 trillion market. Don't go and attack it with a pea shooter. Yeah. This is not a miracle thing. Well, I'm a bit broke now. Hang on a minute. I'm not making money in my business, or I'm out of work, or whatever. Make a quick buck. It's a skill. People make money. There's no easy way to make money. If there is, tell me about it. People want to make money easily. We all do. But most, it's not. And the guys who take a professional, disciplined approach to it, the guys who make the bucks. Yeah, we got to sell out there in the trading room. Yesterday, not doing that well up, actually. We got it at 37. It's now at 57. So we're 20 pips in the negative. And I still think it's possibly a downside. If you like it, I still quite like it, but you give me a better price to sell it. I still quite like it, Mark, yeah. So I still quite like it. We'll look at the pound Japanese in a minute, but I still quite like it. It's in the neutral. It seems to be holding there. I'm back in the Swiss over the Aussie. It had a big jump. That's purely on the fundamental interest rate increase there. Look, already some sellers are coming in. Let's try the 4-hour. It's not much happening. It's a bit sideways. That's putting me off a little bit, to be honest. It's actually range trading. It's a tiny bloody range trade. Look at that. It's about a 10 pip range trade. It's not going anywhere, but I'm leaning towards the downside. Yeah. But if you took one yesterday, it'll still be in it. But if you're not in it and you do quite like it, you can get a better price anyway. What a pleasure. But I'm leaning toward, yeah, I like it actually. I'll tell you right now, you, Logan, at 20, and you say Hussein Bolt, I pronounce his name, at 50. I'm sorry, Logan, don't take offense here. I'll still back him. I'm still back him. I agree. I don't think his world record is going to be broke for a while. That was insane, that stuff. It's like a pincushion, all the bloody drug tests he must have taken. When you do that well, everyone starts trying to find you must be on drugs to do so bloody well. But clearly he wasn't, but he's just that good. Anyway, whatever. So yeah, so we did look at it, Mark, yesterday, yeah, and we took it at 37. That's gone up a bit, but I still like that trade. So if you haven't joined it and you like it, great. If you have any doubts, don't. When you doubt, stay out. If you like it, I quite like the trade, yeah. I'll put it up, and if you do want to take it, if you're already in, don't double up, guys. If you're not in, give me a better price. I'm going to use the stop loss 6108. I think I'll use this. That's already there. Make it 59 on the bloody dot. 5903 is ridiculous. Get to 393 is valid one. I'd like to get around the figure. There you are. You got to make a TP a bit tighter if you want. It's up to you. I'm not about TP, I'm more about the risk. And there it works it out for you. Okay. So remember, it's 700 Rand the risk for micro on the normal NAS, not the micro, the normal NAS. This is only 110 Rand a micro, not a one size fits all. Please understand that. Okay, so AUDCHF. If anyone wants to join that, not on board, work it out. So write down what you prepare to risk the trade, divide 110 into it, and that'll give you a correct volume. If you want to do it. Yeah, well, there you are, Mark. I'm glad you posted that. So see what he said there? An absolute killer. Knocked me out for almost a week. What happened there? Again, market is open buys and tells enough to be honest, which helps you guys. So I'm not speaking out of turn here. I say almost certainly went in emotionally. I'm way too big, didn't do the calculations correctly. And if it did him a favor, he'd be big smile because he'd have made more money than he really should have done. The trouble is it did not, and that's where it hurts. And it not just destroys your balance, it destroys your confidence. It takes a bit of time to recover from the mental stress of it. Get that bloody volume right, guys. I'm going to start issuing fines. You don't. There you are. Virtual Bitcoin fines. There you are. And if Varney does it wrong, I don't know if he's in here at the moment, I'm going to send him to a whole year without a single malt whiskey. There you are. It's that serious. You don't need to update the cheat sheet. It's quite simple. You go to the highlight the one of your choice, right click, go to specification, and all the information is there. You don't need a cheat sheet. I'm trying to get the company around this dumbing down all the time. You know, everyone just spelling it out, you know, make a video where to put your name. Here, write your name. If the guys can't do the basics, they shouldn't be in the trading business. Again, how about dumb it down? How do you explain everything? You know, make it simpler and simpler. The person's still got to, if you want to become a doctor or an IT, Mark, you still got to do some bloody work to get there. Everything's so dumbed down, and then no. Please use a bit of common sense. You put no effort in, you're going to lose. Think as simple as that. So Cecil and company, if you want to know, all you do is you left click, right click on the instrument of choice, left click on specifications, and the contract size there comes out, your margin, the spreads, everything comes out. Remember the spreads in points. So you divide by 10 to get pips. It's all there. And you got the calculator. Bung in your stop, bung your TP, and it gives you a risk per micro. If you can't do the maths on that, leave this business, because trust me, the international derivatives market is a bit more complicated in dividing 110 into 500. Trust me. Okay, so there it is if you want that one. If you don't, well, there it is. We're already, I'll write it down, but there it is. Okay, it's going to go back to a couple there. GBP8, yes, we have. We'll go look at it again. I just said modify stop. 1.1328 was the entry. Been in there for several days now. Never mind. We're still in a profit. Modify your stop. Don't chase it. So if you're not in, leave it. If you are in, modify your stop. Protect yourself, but not too close. But at least take all risk out of it. Simple as that. GBP/JPY. If I miss one, just write it down again. We're clear in the buy zone. Come down to support there. I still think the Japanese yen is due to gain a bit of strength, so I'm a little bit nervous about buying the pound, but I'm not confident enough to sell it. And obviously, a strong upward trend. I'm not sure what's keeping that pound up, to be honest. I think just the promise of higher interest rate increases because the inflation is so high. That's the wrong reason to give it strength. I think that economy personally is a bit of a shambles. They're spending money like water on social programs like the States, and it's not their money. It's like you borrow your credit card and helping all the charities out. Very sweet of you, but it's not your money. It's debt you're borrowing off. It's got to be paid at interest rates on top of it. And they're just the UK colonized America. Now America's colonized the UK, and they're following like bloody sheep. And it's ridiculous. The BBC is just following CNN. I mean, it's ridiculous. BBC used to be a highly respected institution. Now it's just another bloody propaganda machine following CNN and the rest of them. Probably out from that, leave that one alone. Okay, no problem. Catch you next time. Okay, so leave it alone. That's my opinion. Anyone disagrees with me on that? Once I'm doing that, I'm just going to do the economic calendar and the rest of it. Please, you don't have it. As always, make sure you do. You need to know what's going on in the economic world. And this is quite simple. It's done for you. Just give me a moment to copy and paste. Going to do the dollar index. Very important. Clear, the dollar is the major instrument. How long for, I do not know, but is at the moment. Worry about that. Change if it gets there. This is the dollar index. Now, what was the other one? The 10-year note. All this is the yields. All this is the yields on the US 10-year note. All it means, just a second. Just a second, the buddy was gone off. Hang on, just give me a moment. Just go over that quickly. Remember, if the yields go up and the dollar goes up, it's bad for the markets. When I say market, not top forex, but share markets, and for gold. Right. My WhatsApp, remember WhatsApp number. Right, WhatsApp, just a reminder. If I need to put more details, no problem at all. I'll call you. Call me if you like, but if it can be done by WhatsApp, it's good. Now, remember, I do get quite busy. I've got a lot of guys to look after. I'm qualified to look after those guys. I'm regulated. A lot of guys give me advice. I'll be honest, I'm not regulated. I am. So just bear that in mind. So I cannot offer any value in small amounts. Don't think I'm going to help you to make some sort of big money with no money in. If you put nothing in, you get nothing out. So that's for guys who've got funded, certainly not demos, and who want to take this seriously by gaining knowledge and having the right capital. I don't mind anybody with small amounts. I don't be financially snotty, far from. We'll all be broke, all be rich. I don't know. The point is, there's too many rather extraordinary naive people there who think they're going to make a lot of money with sod all. No knowledge, not the right equipment, no money, and it's not going to happen. You've got to have the knowledge, the equipment, and the capital, and put the effort in. I'm pretty sure Usain Bolt, we've talked about, he put some effort into a good run. He didn't say, "Oh, well, I'll just pop this pill and then relax and just run on the Olympic day and then make a lot of money." No, that's it. No, use a bit of common sense, guys. So yeah, but anyway, you got my details now. Yeah, if you missed it, you missed it, Logan, but don't join it now. But coming to be honest with you, Logan and company, you're going to miss trades. I missed them. I've missed trades where I put them out to you guys, chatting about them, explaining them, and then not going myself. Oh, hang on, what about me? And then the bloody ships. Happens, you're going to miss them. but don't suddenly chase it. Well, if you do chase, you got to work out your risk reward and stop loss, everything. And that's another problem I have with guys. They go in and they go into GBP, JPY. The signal says 173 on the dot. And it now moves to 173.30. That's 30 pips difference. They still go in. And then wonder why if it goes wrong, they lose 150 instead of 100 rand. Because obviously the risk reward is worked out at the signal price, not 30 pips above it. That's a completely different ballgame. In my opinion, that should be utter complete common sense. Why is it not common sense? I think a lot of it because the emotion takes over the logic and the thinking emotionally and forgetting to cool down and just quickly look at the maths of it, the arithmetic, the figures. Very important. Okay, right. So that's a story on that. I'll leave that alone. But you certainly, of course, look at that one now. If anyone wants to do it, tell me about it. We'll come back. I'll put up risk reward, anything you like. I'm saying leave this one alone for the moment. Although I do see upside, I'm getting a bit nervous of it. NZD CAD. Oh, bloody hell. Right. Well, Canadian interest rates are coming out. Times are coming out. Check your economic calendar. You've all got it now. I'll post it for you. It's coming out at 4 o'clock this afternoon. Bank of Canada interest rate decision. So that could jerk the chain a bit going in, and that's what 6 hours in 6 hours time, that could jerk the chain a bit. Having said that, we've got a daily. Let's look at the range of the daily. Here's a little tip here. Just look at the range. Look here, over the last few days, got a 40 pip range. Do you want to be stuck in a trade that's moved 40 pips in a week? Even got a lot of money, you can afford to be stuck in it. It's boring. If you haven't got much, it's worse than boring. You can't trade because you're stuck. You haven't got enough free margin. Remember, guys, keep free margin in your account. If you don't, you'll be margin called. Your biggest trade open will be closed. No matter where the stop loss is, you must keep free margin in your account. And guys, tying up the free margin, small amounts of money for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days a week. Trading week, remember, 5 days a week. They're getting highly frustrated. Nothing's happening here. Classic Canadian interest rate decision coming up, Mark. Leave it alone. Any comments on that? I might have some to do it, but I think most of that stuff discounted in the market now. The Ukrainian war I'm talking about. The Americans have borrowed lots of money because it's not their money. You know, when Americans say they're rich, it's not, it's borrowed money. They said over $1 billion there. That's very nice. Makes Biden seem like a nice guy, but it's not his sodding money. Okay, you with me on that, Logan? So I wouldn't be jumping in for those reasons. It's not happening. Major boring. I might even consider interest rate or no interest rate, but because it's so sodding boring, that's my number one reason. I wouldn't want to be stuck in this. I mean, no matter how much money you got, you want action, man. You don't be stuck in the sodding traffic jam. You got your fancy Ferrari and you're stuck in the traffic jam. But the interest rate decision is really, I think. Are we okay with that, Mark, or what do you reckon? It's downside, no problem with that. I'm just saying the reason I gave. I'm not arguing the downside, yeah. It's not breaking through, see what I mean? And you're buying the bottom of that 30, 40 pip range. No. From technicals down. It's a worth a little tip there, guys. Technical tell you that, yeah. But look at the range and check it out. Because some of the range look about 40 pips. And it actually could be 100. Then it might be worth, as long as the top of the range, you want to sell it, obviously, not the bottom of the range. That's common sense again. But just check out. A couple of trades that look pretty good. I thought, should I bring it up for a sell idea? So I've checked it out. There's bugger all moving the last 2-3 days. Last thing I want to send out a trade signal, get the guys in there. They follow, they like our signals. Great, I'm happy about that. Surprised not as many complaints as I thought we'd get. Especially if it goes wrong, you expect an avalanche. That'd be too bad. But I don't want the guys stuck in, and a lot of them don't know this. They're not telling trading, they're not telling much, and they don't understand the fact that they got no free margin. They can't take out a trade, tied up the trade that's going sideways. Remember, each instrument has different days of volatility. Look at this candle compared to that candle, or this candle compared to that candle. You get the idea. But overall, the NAS and the Dow are far, far, far more volatile. We do 200-300 pip stops on the NAS and the Dow. We certainly don't do that on the currencies. And please, guys, remember, if you're a beginner, and especially you've got a small account, do not touch the ZAR. It's a much higher marginal deposit. And a lot of guys are less than the grind couldn't trade anyway because they haven't got enough margin. And number two, it's a much higher cost. If in doubt, go to specifications and check out the volatility of the margin, contract size, and the costs. So it's all there at your fingertips. Look at the overall picture, not just completely focus. I want to make a quick buck out of this. It's, look at the picture. I'm here to help, but you've got to help me to help you. And the guys, I tell you right now, it's a fact. I know this. I'm not showing off like that. We attend the trading room on a regular basis. After a month, I would say no more than about 90% of the people will be trading a lot longer than a month, but without actually attending any form of trading room practical areas. In fact, they're still trading purely on emotion, and that's about it. No other strategy. They're trading without stop losses. Some people are happy with that, fair enough. But I'm saying it's out stop going too big, and it's going against them. They're topping up their margin. It's still going against. Until you have more money left to put in. That is the way not to trade. Don't, it's like trying to drive at 120 in the 60 zone and wondering why you're getting yourself into trouble. Yeah, gold, leave it alone. Don't leave gold alone. If you're in, modify, take out the risk from it and leave it alone. Don't go in now. I'm expecting some decent movements coming in next week when we get the big data release on the economic calendar coming out. Hope we're all good on that. Okay, now just to recap. Now we've looked at a couple of trades. Any of you else want to look at? We'll set looking with pleasure. I'll look at a couple I've got here as well. AUDCHF to look at. I quite like it if you want it. I mentioned that already. Comes another in a minute. But anybody not understand the position size calculator? And remember, if you're going into a share, always know the share is completely different. Different opening and closing hours, different calculator, different properties. You don't go 0.01 or 0.1 on the sodding share. You know what I mean? You go 1, 5, 10, 20, depending on the price of the share. The volumes are much, much larger because the contract size is 1 on shares, 100,000 on the currencies, 10 on Dow, gold, etc. And 100 on oil, 500 on silver, and 1,000 on NGAS. So check out your contract size, get your calculator, and do it accordingly. Are we all good on volumes? If we're not, we'll do this. Unless a trade idea comes out, takes precedence, we'll do it. I want the guys in the trading room to have an economic calendar, the DXY, and the yields, and the position size calculator, and understand for shares it's different. I put a calculator on the screen that works for all the others, but shares, and understand the volume situation. Anybody doesn't understand that, let me know. Very, very important. None, Christopher. To be horribly honest with you, today, nothing. That's why we haven't got a trade idea out so far today. And I'm not sure we're going to get one. We'll find one. If we get, we'll certainly send it. But it's a snail racing today, Chris. Okay, hope we're all good now. I hope you all know what margin is. I hope you all know what leverage is. I hope you all know how to work out your leverage. Some are more leveraged than others. And what the difference, what a spread is, it's nothing to do with the leverage. A higher leverage does not mean you go in bigger for the sake of it, because you've got to get your, if you're risking 500 Rand on a trade, per trade, doesn't mean whether you got 1,001, 501, 100, 151 leverage. Doesn't mean to say now you double up or whatever. No. With a higher leverage, sure, it uses less margin, but you still got to get your equity management under control, budget under control. Anyone running a business knows exactly what I mean. Mark's got his own business to go running around, helping money from the, taking, I hope he doesn't anyway, I don't know, I hope he doesn't, taking money from the till and then taking all his friends out for a fancy meal at a restaurant without even, putting it into the onto the books. It's not the way. With pleasure, completely, absolutely, and of course you join as many as you like. But I'm just taking this opportunity to make sure we understand it, because it's heartbreaking to see clients, traders breaking their accounts on something they don't need to do it. If the markets I can't control, but that I can, so we need to get that sorted. And Chris and company, you're going to get boring days. You're going to get days, I hate to say this, my friend, when you get excellent trades and you can't take them all and you're missing out because you haven't got enough money. Simple as that. And there are going to be trades, and just, I mean, find himself said a couple of times, I want to take this trade, but I haven't got enough free margin. You've got to have free margin. Either you add to it or you're going to have to leave the trade. And other days it's feast or famine. It's complete famine. Can't find anything. It just happens. I mean, some guy said, surely out of 100 or so instantly find something. But our times, never. It's drifting at the moment. It's just happening. That's the way it is at the moment. Boring or too hot for the red blood corpuscles. Read books about snipers. Most of their time they're sitting there waiting. It's like surveillance. It's boring. It's like surveillance. You know, you're watching some potential baddie. Most of the time, we're sitting there and watching TV. You got to sit there and hover. It's boring. It's one of those things. Okay, guys. Any questions on what I've been talking about on the learning front? Any questions on the trading front? Anything you're not sure about, etc. I've mentioned the NAS and the Dow. Leave it alone if you're not in. I'm not comfortable with either. I think it could go either way. NAS could go either way. I like a decent 65% direction on my trades, and I cannot give that one. I can give you a 50-50 on that. If you want a 50-50 gamble, get your car, go to Monty's or Caesar's Palace, or whatever they call it now, the Emperor's, and go into the casino there and then have some fun. NZDJPY. You might find one. I might have missed it, so thanks for that, Anna. Right, first thing you look at, have you all got the 200, all got the 50, that's the blue, and the black one's 100, and if you like the 10, you can do it. This one here, the gold is the 8-day exponential. All the others are simple, it's exponential. This has no other purpose. I pitched this idea of Marnie, when you're in a trade, if you're going long and it's above the 8-day, you stay with the trade. If it breaks below it, on the 4-hour, you get out of it. I think the NAS is slightly different, probably on the 1 hour of the NAS because it's volatility. On the 4 hour, if it breaks, I think she uses 2 4-hour candles, but one might do, then you're out. But that's good for that, so otherwise ignore it. But you need that and then save the templates. Right, so I can tell by looking at it immediately, with a bit of practice, you'll get there as well. By looking immediately, I can see bang in my face within less than a second that that's in the buy zone. It's above the brown and the dark blue, it's in the buy zone. So I'll be looking to buy this. Anytime I will sell in the buy zone, absolutely, when I think it's totally overbought. I thought the Japanese yen was too high there, too weak there, and the NZD was too strong there. I expect that. I think that's overvalued. Even if it's the buy zone, I would have been selling there for those reasons. At the moment, I'm looking for a buy. Now, I'm just going through it with you so you know what I'm thinking here. Now, I'm going to look on the body, 17, less than 20 pips of the last 3 days on the daily. Just check. Yes, we are. Done that before. Been on a weekly or an hourly. So on daily. Let's look at here. 50 odd pips on the jumping around. It's in the middle of a 50 pip range, going nowhere at the moment. Buying the NZD against the yen, not sure. I wouldn't be surprised if yen weakens anymore. They might get some Bank of Japan government intervention by buying up about $80 billion and set it aside for it worth of Japanese currency. And then you'll see immediately that NZD will come off and the Japanese yen will strengthen. And that probably hit your stop loss. You're not happy, chappy. So from a point of view of this Anna and company, I would not stay. I'd be buying this and selling the yen, number one. And number two, it is in the buy zone, I agree, but it's going nowhere. Put your hand up. You've just bought this top of the range, Merck or whatever. Put your hand up. Do you want to get on the open road and send it? Or do you want to be stuck in a traffic jam? Get my point. This is a traffic jam. And you're sitting stuck and going the same speed as Joe Soap and his 20 grand, 20,000 rand motor car jalopy with a few dents in it, and you know, it's a 50-year-old motor car and going the same speed. And you just paid a couple of million in your car. What a bloody pain in the backside. This is the same thing. You're in a traffic jam. Dollar I'm worried about. And you agreed on that, Anna, or do you disagree before I go to the next one? No, you don't. Say, why should we? No, you don't. What you do, so come, that sounds Christopher. I'm just saving your template. Whatever your template is on there, save it. Okay, I'll tell you what, I'm going to show you, give you an example. Let's say you lost your trade. It happens sometimes. I've done it a lot of times. Pick some, I don't know what I've done. You ask Mark or Clinton about if you want to go to the IT. I ain't even chairman of the board of the IT any time soon. But it happens. Well, instead of panicking, you can, if you want, go down to properties and set the whole thing up again if you want. It's a pain. All you do is you go down there, you go to templates, you pick the one you want. I quite list one. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 8 or 9 to choose from. I quite like this one. Go there, I'm back in business. Got it? That's the only reason. And you might want to save different ones. I want to save one. Where's the brown on this one? I want to save one with the brown, the blue, and the purple, or the maroon one, or whatever, it's magenta one. And I might want to save one with all 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 averages, or one with a 21 and a 42 and an 81. I don't know. You can different measures you save. And that's all I mean by that, Chris. Go ahead. You happy on that? Go for it.
I was actually thinking about that. The newer people may think they have to save the whole chart. If like you start with a chart that has nothing, only has the candles. And if you start with your moving averages, you put all the moving average like you have there at the moment, and you save that, the moving average, that is one. Then you go back, you take that out, and you put maybe Bollinger Bands, and you save the bond. You don't have to save all the whole chart, every chart with the new trends or inserts or whatever. Maybe that's what they think. They must save Google, they must save NASDAQ, they must save gold, they must save everything. Maybe they think that's what they do.
Good point. Thanks for that, Marie. That's what I want you guys to do, because sometimes I get the wrong end of the stick. See, one of my problems is I've been doing a long time, and I've forgotten, let's say you're studying maths at university, a master degree in it. You forget some guys are still at 1 and 1 is 2 level, and sometimes I forget that. So it's nice to just be brought back and explain that. So I think Chris is now on the right page. Yeah, just say generally 2 or 3 ones. You might like ones with the 50 and the 100, and ones with the 50, 200, and whatever, and have 2 or 3 and pick the ones you want. Like when we do the EV trade, EJ momentum trade, we don't use the 100-day moving average. You might want to say one, say EJS one, and then you just keep on. You don't even have the 8 on that. You just have the blue, brown, and the magenta, the 10, 50, and the 200 for that one particularly. So and that applies to it. And it might not apply to Google. I've got Google up here at the bottom. Forget Google. Put it back there. What we learned just now. I'll come to you in a minute, Sandra. Don't panic. NZD, whatever it was, NZDJ, I think it was. Okay. I just want to remind you again, guys, you're talking about the Google shares. You know, Google's a share. It's completely different. Different problems, and you go to CFD classes. It's a spreadsheet, different calculator, opens at different times, the volumes at different times, the exposure is different. The only thing they've got in common, they're all 5%. No matter what leverage you're on, they're all 5% deposit or margin, so all 20-to-1 leverage. Just understand the difference. If you don't go to class, you still haven't done that, well, maybe don't do the share. So, it's a good thing to have, but you have to have knowledge of it. Okay. You got it now. Thanks for the assistance there. Right, you will be left behind. I don't know where your knowledge is, Lusanda. Everyone's new to training. Everyone's got the first time there. But before you come to training room, you need to go into a couple of forex classes, maybe a week of it, 3-4 days, I don't know, whatever you need. Everyone's picked things up at a different speed. Some people pick it up in a couple of days. Some people might take a week. It doesn't really matter. As long as you're on top of what the hell they're on about, you interact. You might want to do a few CFD classes, and then, of course, platform training. If you come to the training room, you haven't bought the stock market college package, you haven't bought any package. You somehow heard there's a share market out there. I come to the training room. It's like saying, I haven't done 1 and 1 is 2 yet, but I'm going to go to university and study maths. No, you've got to have the basics to build on. I'm assuming when you come here, you've got the basics, and we can discuss the stuff that we do. It's not a training where I teach you what a lot size is. You know, that's a candle. It's a bull or a bear candle, or a Bollinger Band or a MACD. I don't do that. That's done for the classes. That's for the people who invest in the stock market college package. And remember, it's a separate company. I don't work for them. People often call me up and said, I want to get a mine, or want to get this, or want to stock market college. I don't answer. I point them in the right direction. Go to the live chat, go to stock market college, go to sales guy or whatever. Separate company. But that is for training. This is for putting that training into use. But we understand that. But so I don't know how much you've done, Lusanda, or whatever. But if you've done the basics, you won't learn this in 1 day. You'll pick it up as you go along. Ask Anne-Marie, she's been to a few. Trust me, she didn't understand the markets after one bloody trading session. That's impossible. I don't care if you're Einstein, it's impossible. But yeah, Mark is an affiliate there. So if you haven't done the stock market college course, then you're trying to trade without any knowledge. The little money you got in there assumes a little, you're going to lose it. A lot of money you got in there assumes a lot, you're going to lose it. You can't drive a car that's, you know, a gear lever and breakage. So yeah, if you're in this training room and you haven't bought a course, or you haven't been in lessons, buy a course, go to a couple of classes and get the basics. And if you haven't, Mark will help you out. I don't really want Kurt to get involved on the sell side. I want to keep on the trading assistant side. Otherwise, people start talking about conflict of interest. I've been in it, so I do know about it, but I want to keep it separate from that point. Like going to the doctor and he's busy trying to sell you drugs. You're not going to the doctor who sold drugs. You go to the doctor because you want help with, you want medical help. Same here, I'm trying to help you to trade properly, not trying to buddy sell you something. That's a separate division. Right, Desiree, on this chart here, there's 5. The most important ones you need to have, guys, is the dark blue one, that's at 50, simple. The other very, very important one is the brown one, that's at 200, simple. That's a must. Right. I like the 100-day, and I think it's got a lot of uses. That's why I have it there. It's not a must, but I think it's important. That's 100-day. Simple. I like the shorter term one here, which is again my choice. I like it. It's the magenta one. That's a 10-day simple. It's not a must, but I like it. The gold one came in recently from one of our traders, been here a while. Excellent lady. She's very, very contributes a lot to training them, and she's taking this seriously, wants to do it properly. And she found that with the 8-day exponential, the only one that's not simple, the gold one's 8-day exponential, she found not so much on the NAS or the Dow, because they're very much more volatile on currencies. She found that she went long or short. She stays in the trade till it breaks on the 4-hour candle, the 8-day moving average below if she's going long, or above if she's going short. Quite like the idea. The reason being is because it seemed, plus I took her word, she back tested because she's a professional lady and I believe her. And number 2, as I mentioned many times, one of the most difficult things is exiting a trade, when to. No 100%, that's impossible, but try and get the odds side to try and get better exits to maximize the winners and minimize the losers, not the other way around, which most people do. Emotionally start They grab their profit in 5 seconds flat and they run with their losses, hope it's going to come right. They're too frightened to take a loss. In the end, they blow their account. Simple as that. Most is common sense until the emotions take over. That's why I try to tell guys, don't play around with your demo. Only purpose of demo, that's why, in my opinion, correctly, is restrict to 1 month, is you know how to operate a platform. Last year was to press the wrong button on the live, now you're annoyed. Just teaching, learning of it's skidology. If you take out that emotion, even when you experience it, certainly when you're starting, you're wasting your time, you're learning nothing. You've got to understand the pressures of real money. That's where the trading skills come in. We're thinking clearly. And the one that help you get the think clearly is getting those damn sodding volumes correct. If you're overexposed, you will not think clearly. Hey, go back to Desir there. Have you got that? That's the 10, that's the 8, 200, 50, and 100. And this one's the only one's exponential. But but this one, the brown and the blue are absolutely essential. They're internationally used. They act as filters and support resistance. Very, very important. And if nothing else, have that saved. If you like them all, put them on. Are we all good? And save the template, like I said. So if you lose your charts, like I've shown you, right click, go to templates and pick the one you like. You got it. That's what I want to do, like Desir did. I want like Anne-Marie did. Come in and assist everybody. Sometimes I'm not getting the question right, or I'm missing the point, or I'm not explaining it properly. Then you help me out with the explanation like she did then. Or yourself. You're not sure, you ask. And our guys will come in here, think they can download like a computer. They've been here 2-3 months. You see them on the live chat, ask a question that should have been learned the first week because they didn't know, too scared to actually put the question on there, or didn't want to have comments interact, and therefore not learning. Nobody's going to laugh at you. We all start at the beginning somewhere. Don't care what business you're in. We're all here to try and help. But don't come in here if you haven't bought a course expecting a free training. That's not going to happen. It's not fair to the guys at all the course. And that's common sense. You can get that. Bram, I presume, brought the course. He's going to be pissed off. I use the word pissed off. If I'm starting giving free training lessons in here, not discussing trading, and he's just paying out £1,000 a month on the sodding course. He's going to be highly fed up with me. And I wouldn't blame him. I'd be highly fed up with me. Hey, Brian. That one of our precepts used to do it. Let's go elsewhere. Won't mention names. There was a lady actually in class, which was in the trading room, WhatsApp, and it says, why does this guy teach us trading? It's a trading room. We want to learn about trades. You know, we're not here to give away freebie training. And quite frankly, she had a point. I'll clarify, I'll go through bullet points, economic calendar, stuff like that, but I'm going to go into XR5 to play the MACD to you. That's the classes. Hope we're all clear on that. Good stuff. Okay, I think gone on about that. Anyone not got the calculator, get it. Get it. Save your charts, calculator, get it. If you're not sure about an instrument, left click, right click, get it. If you still don't know, ask. It's no good getting that information, do what it means, ask. You also got to know how to get the leverage. Divide the margin into 100 gives you the leverage. You've got to know why a leverage instrument is speculative and high risk compared to normal equity. Because it is leverage. If you're 100 to 1 leverage, it's moving 100 times faster than the instrument itself. So these things you've got to know. And no problem in clarifying that, as long as you ask. Well, it's the T piece there. I think it might get there. Will it get there? I have no idea, Chris. I have no idea. Nobody does. When I say I don't know, I'm not saying I don't know, somebody else does. I mean, nobody does. It's trying to break out. See, I've got my stop above. It's still pretty tight. It's a long way away. And I've got it above my entry there. Okay, so I won't lose on it, but I won't make much on it. I'm keeping a decent distance because it's trying to break through the round figure. Remember early on this session, I explained to you guys about the 1.1. It's been a bit of hovering around that level there, as you can see. And as it's trying to break above, Every time it comes off, the buyers are coming in. So it seems like could break through that ceiling for more upside. If you're nervous, take it. If it breaks up, go in again. It's up to you. More cost involved, of course. But the bottom line is we don't have a TP at whatever you put it on there, 77, if we didn't pretty sure want to get there. So we think it's a good chance, but we do not know. What that will do is at 1.1 at the moment. What it'll do in the next 10 minutes, I haven't a cooking clue. No idea. Not, the NAS is not. I can't see the watch list. Has the NAS gone up or down since I last looked? I haven't the slightest idea. Nobody does. If the markets will move up and down all the time, what's going to do the next 2 minutes? Nobody's going to know that. You get my point. There's millions, literally millions of people buying and selling out there. That's what's giving the noise, the up and down. We have to take an overall view. They have different account sizes, different emotions, different cultures, different strategies, different everything. So all I can say is that's our TP. I've modified to protect. I won't lose on this trade. I hope to maximize some more profit. I'm staying with it. But if you feel you can't handle it, or it's coming off, or whatever, modify your stop or close it, or partly close it. You don't have to close the entire position unless you've got one micro, then you have no choice. If you've got bigger than micro, you can partially close. I'll show you how to do that. Do it quickly with you again. I'm sure some guys don't know this. Right. Now, this one's not pretty, but I've banked quite a few, so don't panic on that. As you see there from the history, quite a few have banked, etc. Don't worry about that. So, right, if you want to partially close, I've got on the AUDNZD, because I worked it out, it was about 80, 90 rand a micro, and I know I'm compared to a risk, so I went for that size. If I want to see the stop loss at the moment is not much, but it's about there, so I'm protected. Now, what I do then is I want to partially close, to go to the volume. I do not go to the stop loss, because that's the stop loss you modify, obviously. So I'm going to go to non-stop loss, non-TP, but do that whatever you like. Just make it simple. Go to the volume one. Double click. Now you put in what you want to close. If I've got 0.25, I might want to close, that's like 25 micros. I might want to close 10 micros, put in 0.1, and then I click on the close button. Once that's done, that will change to 0.15, and of course that will be reduced because the full 500 rand will be banked. You with me? So you can partly close it. I know there's not many trades out at the moment, so spend some time on it, because I know for a fact people go onto platform class and stuff like that and still don't know these. And I think some of these bullet points don't take long, and it can be a revelation. That guy's pretty good trading as well. Yeah, I didn't know that. Oh, hang on, thank you very much. And it doesn't take long to explain. Well, I didn't have a Euro calendar. I didn't know that his CPI is coming out in 20 minutes' time on the calendar, or interest rates coming out on Germany in 20 minutes' time. Get it? So, yeah, right. So make sure you can partly close, totally close, etc. Try not to have it in your face all the time. You got your strategy, you got your correct risk reward. And I even take that out of the way. See, it says trade levels, get rid of them. If you want them, just go to trade levels and put them in again. I don't like it in my face, let it run. That's the way to insanity, watch them moving up and down. Little tips like that could help you psychologically. Keep you out of the loony bin. I've often joked, don't mark that still here. Maria's going to see that. I often joke that what we should be selling here is not stock market college, but psychological market college. You get the idea, because most of trading is psych. Most people are not trading any form of logic or anything like that. It's just purely on their own emotions, just trying to make a quick buck, overdoing it and getting disappointed. So they're not going it with proper discipline. Anyone runs a business, know what I mean. I do favour the CAD versus JPY, but things can change. I still think the CAD is a situation now, but slightly overvalued against the yen. And we're on the daily chart. You can see at the moment, range trading. What's the extent of the range? About 50 off hit range. It's just range trade at the moment. And I could easily pull back and go up. I'd leave this for the moment. I've used this in the past, Logan, as a go-to trade in the last year or two, where When in doubt, go to CAD JPY and make a buck. Not so much now. Okay, keep an eye on it, things change. Remember, it's an oil producer, so it is affected by the oil price. High oil price, benefit to Canada. High oil price, not a benefit to Japan. Canada produces, Japan imports. Remember, the biggest importer of oil in the world is China. And they don't have it. Japan doesn't have it. They're going to import it. Canada has it. So they're all right. In fact, the Second World War, Japan entering, was a lot to do with oil, like most things, economic rather than anything else. And they entered into that because the Americans controlled the oil price, and they were a very proud nation, although the Japanese are, said, sod you, we're going to go and grab those oil fields and go to war. In fact, Hitler did, and that was his big thing in the Middle East. He didn't have the oil, the Brits did, and they controlled through poverty. It's not there, I mean, it's colonized, it wasn't their country, they colonized it, had it. And that's the Middle East, El Alamein, and what's his name? Rommel. That was the whole thing trying to defeat Rommel. It was about oil. Hitler needed our oil. Simple as that. What Germany didn't know, not just him. Anyway, whatever. Okay, so I want to be chasing that. ADNZD, discussed that. Chris, you're all right there. Dollar, a bit nervous about. Someone mentioned NZD. Remember now, NZD, USD. I'm just a bit nervous of dollar. Indecision, there you are. Look at this, guys. Look at that candle. What's that telling you? Indecision. What's that telling you? Indecision. Leave it alone. If you've got a body that thick and a tail's that high or wicks that high, goes up, sells come, goes down, buyers coming. That's total indecision. Leave it alone. And the dollar seems to be drifting. What's the dollar doing? You've got dollar index drifting, not going anywhere. Leave it alone. Leave the dollar alone for the time being. Yeah, that might look like a sell there. Anything could happen there. I'm leaning towards maybe a little bit of dollar strength could help. I'm not sure about the Aussie. If I had to go in, I'd be selling that, but I'm going to leave it. Only one I might sort of consider is the Swiss franc and the dollar. But even that's not happening. Look at that indecision. So leave the dollar alone. The dollar can't get moving against the Swiss franc, and that's a strong currency. Don't start playing with it on the yen. Get the idea, or the GBP or whatever. Leave it alone. I will clear on that. And my thinking behind it. To go too quick to stage though, and I'll explain again, or somebody else might explain it better, more patiently or better than I do to get the understanding. Trying to explain why this method. It's not the, oh, I like the dollar, I'm going to go and buy it. Well, no, you know, I want to give you reasons behind it. And you'll learn from it, you'll have it. So, something I'm looking at as well is AUDM CHF. I still think the short's okay. Some guys might have joined it at a little bit better price. See what it's doing. Still going up a bit, so it might be a little bit nervous. Still going up, maybe leave it. Okay, if you haven't joined, leave the bloody thing. Okay, another one I'm looking at possibly, but maybe pull back a bit more. We've gone in, made some money out of it. Unless you can get to it again, the Swiss franc against the Japanese yen. Yeah, is it? Bloody alphabet, right? Yeah. No, it's a bit high. If that comes back a bit, maybe comes back rather than with 153, you can look at it again. We got a Butte out at 150, went straight to our TP. What a pleasure. Yeah, I still like to buy this, but it's a bit, not now, though. Get a better price, keep an eye on it. Fortunately, the market's sideways, a bit boring today. That's why I spent some time on other stuff, which I personally think is critical. And it doesn't take long, and hope you took it on board. If you didn't, ask and do it again, because it's important. Okay. Now, whilst you're thinking about the question to ask, I want to mention the straddle trade coming out next week in the CPI. It's Tuesday, 2 o'clock, CPI next week. A straddle trade, a buy stop, sell stop. Okay. Again, if you want to join me, because it's limited to 100 seats, don't keep Joe Soap out and who's got 20 grand because you're going in on a demo account, or 50 rand or 500. Again, I stress to guys, you get a lot of first-time deposits, guys putting 40, 50, 60 rand in there. You're kidding yourself, mate. What are you trying to do there? See how it goes. Well, I'll tell you how it's going to go. You're going to lose. You can't go in without being grossly overexposed. You can't diversify. All your money's in one basket. It's not going to happen for you. It's like me trying to compete with Pick n Pay selling a dozen eggs. No, just do it properly or find something else. Don't say that's all I've got and I need the money. Well, there's millions of people in the world at the moment need the money. That's all they got. But they're not providing something that's going to get the money. You know, it's got to be a trade-off. I know what you want, but what are you going to give to get what you want? And that's a critical assumption a lot of people don't take into account. Okay, so the straddle trade, do it quickly for you guys if you like it. I'm going to use gold again. People seem to like it. You don't have to use it, but make sure it's $1 in gold if you're not going to do gold. Preferably euro dollar or US dollar JPY. If you want to do that, it's up to you. We're using gold. We go to the 15-minute chart, and what we do now is just make a note of this. So you're prepared, because I will explain again at 2 o'clock, but if you're prepared, then you won't make a cock up of putting the trade in. You go to gold, and then you go to gold here, and you work out the volumes. Now, don't ask me what volumes, because that's to me, I am going to be rude. It's a friggin' stupid question. I have no idea what volumes. It's up to you what you risk. Your money, it's not mine. And you've got to know yourself what you better risk. Don't phone me up and say, I'm about to go shopping. What should I spend? Same sort of principle. So you got to say, what am I prepared to risk? On gold, I'm going to do $2 above and below. Was $1, I'm going to do 2. So it's $2. That means it's 40 Rand per 0.01. 0.01 is a micro. That's 40 Rand a micro. I'm suggesting on that information how to do the maths. If you don't, well, I can't help you. 40 Rand a micro. So you've got 50K in your account. You want to risk 1,000. Make it, it's quite good. Maybe you'll risk a bit more. Make it, you want to risk 1,500 Rand. Divide 40, make it 1,600 Rand. 14 to 1,600 Rand is 40 micros. Okay? So you put in 0.4 as your volume. Whatever, you work it out. Okay? So you put your volume in, and then you go and you put pending order, and then you start off with a buy stop, not a buy limit, a buy stop, and you put the price in. Because it's a buy, you put it obviously above the buy price, not above this one, $2. That's 1960, so you're going to put in 1962. It's 1960, 50 or whatever, and you put it above that. It's jumping around a bit. Won't be jumping around CPI day because the big stuff's coming out, but it's just an example. And then you place it. I'm just going to show you there the trade levels. So I've got a buy order above the market. I'm now going to go to gold and I'll do the same, put in my volumes, which I've worked out, like I showed you how to do that. Go to the sell stop and I put 2 below that, make it 157. Sorry, 1957, I beg your pardon. And I'm going to place it. See, I've got a buy stop above the market, sell stop below. So when the data is released, you put this about 5 or 6, 7 minutes before. Let's get this out of the way, but it's all getting sold in there. Hang on, get out of the way. Right. Now, I don't want to get filled either of those trades before the 2:30 release next Tuesday. Right? So I make sure of that. So now it's come to 25 past, 24 past, and you put those 2 orders in and you wait for the release. 2:30, it's good for gold. It shoots up. It takes this one in. You immediately cancel the one that's not been filled, and you run with it. Then you put a stop loss TP. It's not a buy or sell trade. It's a straddle trade. Notice I didn't put an SL or TP. Don't worry about that now. One hedges the other. Now one hedges the other. Don't worry about it. Then if it shoots and takes this one in, then you can put your stop loss in wherever. If you want to put TP and follow it up until you take profit or let it run, that's up to you. If this one takes in, then you cancel that one, put your SL in and run it down or whatever. That's how you do it. Okay, so I'll go into more detail next Tuesday. But if you've got a couple of grand or more on the live, not demos, and you want to join me, please do. It's a quick buck. Dirk's left, but the guys have done it. Anna Marie, I admit she might have done a couple of wrong ones, pressed wrong buttons, or I didn't get the idea, whatever. But I believe when she got the idea of it, simple how to follow this straddle trade, all the ones who did it properly over the last 3 months, we do it twice a month, have made money. So it's a quick buck to be made. But for goodness sake, make sure you got funds. Don't waste our time with small funds. And make sure you got the straddle trade mechanics right. Yeah, we will be doing gold. Don't do it now. Please, guys, it's an example. Show you how it works. We'll be doing it next Tuesday. and I'll explain again. Just join me at 2 o'clock for the 2:30 release on Tuesday next week. And I use Eurodollar. It's done it before. Usually I like done it before, but I'll be using, for newer guys who haven't done it before, I'll be using gold. Yeah. If you're still not sure and you've got decent sums in your account before you want to WhatsApp before, I'll give you those volumes for you. But not if you've got 1,000 or 2 grand, shouldn't be in there. You know, you've got to work your own volumes out. But let's say you're normally risking 1,000 rand on it, maybe up to 12 or 13, 1,400 rand, slightly bigger positions because you've virtually hedged, and it's very rare you get a whiplash, and you should actually make a quick buck out of it. And it puts a big smile. The guys join regularly now, and they want to be in that, and they make sure they get their seat because it's a quick buck. You've been there, Brian, you know what I mean. A couple of guys have been on there, they know what I mean. They should have done well. If they didn't, well, tell me why they didn't so we can correct it, because if they didn't do well, they obviously did it wrong. Okay. Well, how much money you got, Chris? So I keep saying, you can't ask me how much money, because how much money you got. I personally think you should put 500,000 in your account and go with make it 2.0. But I haven't got it. So then why ask me? I don't know how much money you got. Put in what you can afford. And then if you're doing gold, it'll be 40 rand per 0.01. So you got 10 grand, you want to risk 600, maybe you want to risk 700 on this. So we need 800. Risk 800 if you got 10 grand. If it's too frightening for you, make it 600. Write 40 into that amount, gives you a position size. Brian's done it and he's a happy chappy. You must get these volumes, you must get this basic math. As I said before, I've said to Perad a couple of times, it worries me about the math standard school in the country. I was listening to yesterday, I was there before, a 7:02 in the morning, and they get these 10 to 30-year-olds coming in. And this particular young little lass there wants to be an astrophysicist. Astrophysicist, not hard. And she'd asked the question, she didn't write general knowledge. And one of the questions was, what's 29 minus 18? She couldn't work it out in her head. If you can't do that in your head, I know she's only a kid, so she'll learn. But still, if you want to be an astrophysicist, you need a scientific physics kind of math mental bent. You're not going to be an arty-farty, you know what I mean? And if you can't do 29 minus 18 in your head, you're going to battle with an astrophysicist, get the idea. And it's not uncommon. You can ask anybody from America, I do know the UK, 29, 18, they're 12 or 13 years old, they'll be able to tell you. You have to look at a calculator. Here they have to, and that's a worry, because the standard has dropped, and that's not me saying, it's a fact. And the lady, whatever, Andor said that, which is a fact anyway. And they often get pressure from the teachers to get the figures up, and they're pushed through with a 30% pass from a trick. That's basically useless, because now they're going to university and they can't do maths. They drop out because they haven't got the basics. You've got to have, I don't say every mathematician, you've got to have the basic arithmetic understanding. If you don't understand interest rates, things like that, you're going to battle. It's like not being able to read or write. It's very important. And that's another one. 86% kid, pre-matric, not reading for meaning. It's another worry. And, you know, you're hurting guys out there and adults into the employment, which is highly competitive, without the basics. And it's a worry. It's not good. Not great brains, it's the basics I'm talking about here. Something else I think needs still with the education. I think that's probably the biggest crime of the lot, I think. The last few years. Okay, so you've all got the straddle trade. Now. Here we are. Okay, any questions, guys? On the buy stop, sell stop CPI, why do you put it to a part and not both? Okay, right. Good question, Chris. For a beginner, that's not a bad bloody question. Quite impressed. Okay, Anna-Marie, great stuff. Actually, yeah, right. I tell you right now, I might do $1. The reason is, Chris, simple as this. Guys are not often that quick at getting this, and they're putting it $1 away too early, maybe at 20 past 2, and one of them gets filled because they're not on top of it. Now they're stuck. That's why I said $2. But I prefer $1, but as long as you don't get filled. So I'm going to put one in again for you. That's as simple as that. What I could do is I might even put in, I've just put a buy stop moment, just for show what I mean. I might put a, well, I've got a buy stop. What's the price here? I might make it 1963, right? Now, remember, I'm hosting it, so I'm chatting away. So I can't keep it. I'm watching it, I'm chatting to you, looking at two screens, my mind's thinking of stuff. I want to start out of the way. As it gets maybe at 28, 29 minutes past, you'll find the price will slow down. Be very few buyers and sellers. It'll slow down because the world, even if fast asleep, they won't be fast asleep in Aussie or Japan or China or whatever. The trades will be up because they won't be doing a straddle trade, spotter for obvious reasons. I might, when it comes to maybe a minute ago, I might just bring that buy stop and my sell stop closer to it because I don't want to get filled. That's the only reason why I said $2 instead of $1. Does that make sense? But if you're on the ball, you understand that concept and you make sure you're not filled, you can put a bit closer. Or you can do what I do, put it $2 away, keep an eye on it, and just make sure the gap is there, moving around the price. And just before the release, if you do it, bring it closer, bring the other one closer. Once taken in, bang, get rid of the other one, and you made $1 an ounce more money than $2 than if you had a $2 gap. Have you got that? The reason, Chris, I don't always explain that people. I hate to say it, after several attempts and some, they're not even getting the straddle trade. And it's a worry. How are they going to trade in derivative markets if they can't get the basic arithmetic of it? I don't know. I just don't know. But if you've got that, that's great. But that's the only reason. Guys have got their own business, share advantage. They know about profit and loss and running a business. There's too many guys coming here without having a clue and got fighting desperate financial straits, hoping it's going to be the pill to solve it all. Unfortunately, it's the point saying no. And the Instagram adverts are not helping the cause either. And often, well, lying is a big word for it, but certainly very misleading. Not just in this. If you want to go to Facebook, Instagram, have some fun, as long as you keep it to fun. But don't take a lot of notice of it. It sets a lot of bull on there. Not just trading, I mean, generally speaking. Always remember there's a guy called George Bernard Shaw, the playwright, very famous one, died now years ago. He wrote Pygmalion, My Fair Lady, quite a few, and they were quite famous. And one he did say, those who can do, those who cannot teach, or those who can do, those who can't teach. And there's a heck of a lot of people teaching out there, not quite sure how to do it. You know, so those who can do, this is the practical area of doing it. A lot of that stuff you see on YouTube, but that's all theoretical. So it's vital, guys, get the basics, come in here and then stick with it. And it's not a class you can learn it in 5 minutes. You need to stick with it. You don't become a professional tennis player, professional athlete, professional any bloody thing, a doctor, lawyer, dentist, pharmacist. But I think I'll do a couple of days and there I am. The reason why most people are broke is not just the government's fault, it's often their own as well, because they don't want to put the effort in, but they want the results. Effort goes unfortunately proportional to money all the time. That's what we try to help. And this is a big, it's a lot of fun. There's no big capital outlay. It's totally portable, go anywhere in the world. You can do it when you're 90 years of age, as long as you're not gaga. You can be bedridden, all you need is a computer. There's so many advantages. All you're going to do is discipline and learn your stuff. So a few guys that come up with that say the battle understand me because of my accent. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm too old and ugly to change my accent now. And another, it's not very proud of the fact, but another thing is I'm fully unilingual. I'm the only part of my whole family, mother, father, sister, whatever, only knows one language. So I've got one language, no more, and I'll rattle away in my own bloody mother tongue. And sometimes that's a bit ignorant. I do beg your pardon. Get carried away. But yeah, a couple of people have said the accent of battle a bit. Funny enough, the one accent I never, ever, ever, ever battled with in the street, that was Afrikaans. They often say my English is not too good. Okay, what you say. To me, every time an Afrikaans speaks, it's completely clear I'm quite frankly virtually fluent. No problem at all. But accents, especially English accents, I hear you. If I'm in the UK now, battle. They're all their dialects. Yo, 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 yo. But as long as you somehow, and we've got people like Anna Marie and Farney and maybe some of the other guys. Ken comes in and helps me out with an explanation in more clearer accent to clarify it for you. And as long as you're benefiting, that's the bottom line. However it's done, as long as you're benefiting. Every morning, 9:30 to 11 on this Zoom ID. Look, you see, Lysandra and company, whenever you start something, you're frightened. What happens? This is purely human psychology. When you start up, knowledge is minimum, fear factor is maximum. As the knowledge goes up, the fear comes down. How many guys out there drive a car over the speed limit? Don't admit it, but you do. Because your knowledge is increasing, how to drive a car, the fear factor starts coming down, and that's about as dangerous a thing you can do as drive a motor car. How many people are killed per year worldwide on the roads? They still drive fast because the fear's been coming down and because the knowledge is going up. When you start, you've got zero knowledge and maximum fear. With the increase of knowledge, the fear ratio comes down. And that's why I go for bullet points like volumes, say your head is right. If you've got 10 grand in your account, you're risking 8 grand on one instrument. Your fear is going to be through the roof because you're grossly overexposed and you can't take the knock. So you got used to my accent now, Tommy, that's good. So I hope you understand me now. But I do apologize to those who don't, but other guys will help in. But we've got to get this stuff out because this is stuff that is basics we can conquer. What's going to happen to the gold price, nobody knows, but we can get volumes right. We can get economic calendar understood. These sort of things we can do. Hope it's clarified a lot of things. We've gone well over 11 o'clock. Doesn't matter. I don't really care as long as you guys are benefiting. That's the main thing. I do care. I want my guys out there to do bloody well at it. When guys said do well, that to me is a shot in the arm. Yeah, that's like heroin addiction. I'm accolade doing well addicted. And it breaks my heart to see guys blowing their account unnecessarily. I trade, as you can see, and I'm doing okay, and I'm no great brainwave about this, so I can do it, you can. Okay, guys, good enough. That's not so good, and Tommy. God, last thing I want to go to bed at night, listen to me. Bloody hell, I feel for you. Not today. I haven't checked tomorrow, maybe, but definitely next week. Yeah, 100% next week. Interest rate decisions and CPI, that definitely will. But check economic calendar. But don't jump in. If you're in gold, stay with it, modify and stop, protect yourself, but don't play around with it now. It's just jumping around at the moment. Depends on the dollar index, and that's up and down, sideways. I'd leave gold for the moment if you're not in. Thank you, Logan. You're a star. Okay, guys, right. Catch you tomorrow morning and take it from there. Great. Thank you, Chris. Thanks for that. Cheers. Remember, I'm only human. I like to know you're doing well, and I like the old pat on the back. And it's free, as it's meant. Going forward, not at the moment. Mark, I'll just explain that. CEO in his wisdom thinks there's not enough attendees in the afternoon, and the attendees are not big enough accounts to trade as much as to justify my time. He wants me to spend more time with, quite frankly, bigger players. One of them was on here. That person knows, a lady knows exactly what I mean, and I mean that. wants them to spend more time with the guys that got decent sums in there to help them, because it's better for them, better for the company, better all the way around. In other words, he wants my time to spend more. It costs money for the company for having me here, and I want to make sure they're getting value. I'm trying to help 20 people with 1,000 rand accounts. It doesn't pay my salary, you know what I mean? If brokerage on it's that small. And always remember that if you're offering little, you're going to go to the back of the queue. If you offer a lot, you go to the front. It's horrible, but it's the way of the economic system around the world. Thanks, Cecil. Cheers, guys. Should be common sense, but we get a bit frustrated at times, eh? Oh, that's interesting, Hassan, for go on. You've read it, so you've got the Stock Market College package, have you? Because Mark, who's still there, will help you out with that if you haven't. Have you bought the Stock Market College package? Then go on and go to, if you're not sure where to go in, go to Stock Market College on the live chat, and it'll give you login details. Go to a couple of classes, because once you've done the basics, then come here to the trading room, and then you'll start getting strategies, you'll get trade ideas, and you'll start getting a practical understanding. I'm prepared to bet that even you've got the package there, the basics are all you need. You don't have to go too much to the theory, the practice, but you can't do the practice unless you got the basics. Hope you're good with that, Sunday. But I hope you see you tomorrow morning. Okay, cheers, guys. And if you're not sure, like you just do there, you interact, well done, and you ask. Yeah, exactly. Perfect. If you assume that's fine, go to a couple of classes. They're on the when you log in. Sometimes I don't have it. I need it. Log in there. Do a couple of classes like I mentioned, and make sure now operate the platform, and then we'll get you on the practical trading journey. Okay. Cheers. Cheers, guys.